Cool gear. And that lets you save cook here.
True Form Life.
Green look on it.
Welcome to Exploring Mind and Body with Drew Tadia. Drew is an expert in nutrition, fitness, lifestyle, and more. And he wants to help you live a healthier, longer, and more active life. Now here's your host, Drew Tadia.
Welcome to another edition of nationally syndicated Exploring Mind and Body. Thank you so much for being here with us. Thank you for tuning in and being a part of our True Form Life community, whether you're listening on terrestrial radio across the country or as a podcast around the world. We certainly wouldn't be here without you. Today I'm bringing on Dorothy Keith. If you listen to any of the past shows, you know Dorothy is a regular guest. She works with us at True Form. She helps facilitate our True Form membership. She specializes in meal planning, recipes, grocery shopping lists. If you're looking for someone to help you out with your nutrition, she's the one to see. So today we're going to be talking about a whole food detox. Now, I'd like to call these lifestyle detoxes because we don't exactly believe in quick fasts or cleanses or weekend types of things in that regard. So Dorothy's always a pleasure. She always brings the energy and excitement to this show. So I know you're going to love it. Sit back and enjoy. We got all that coming up.
This is Exploring Mind and Body. Naturally improve your lifestyle one show at a time with your host, Drew Tadia.
You heard all about Dorothy in the introduction, so without further ado, welcome to the show, Dorothy.
Thanks for having me, Drew. It's always a pleasure coming on.
It sure is. I'll always love your enthusiasm. You'll bring it every show. Today we're talking about detoxing. Couldn't be more excited about this subject.
One of my favorite subjects as well, Drew, because it is how I started on my nutrition journey myself.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we have to start off with detoxing properly, and we're going to talk about all kinds of different ways regarding whole food detox, but this is a lifestyle detox because we will be going over mindset, affirmations, other areas, not just what we put in our body to help you detox throughout your life.
It's so important, too, to look at all areas, Drew, not just the food that we put in our body, but like you were saying, what we're putting on our body and the mind clutter as well. We could eat as healthy as we want, but if we are putting toxins on our body, if we have toxins in our heads and what we're thinking and our emotions, then we're still gonna be full of toxins.
That's right. Dorothy, you have a very interesting story. I think it's always interesting because living this healthy lifestyle, teaching healthy lifestyle, being fit, being someone that people look up to, you offer motivation, inspiration. Everyone kind of thinks that's how you always were, and I don't think that's the case.
That's not the case at all. I started my journey exactly where the majority of people start. I didn't start out, or I wasn't always this way. I did start exactly where most of you are starting. And for me, that was way back, if I go back to my first year in my teaching career, that was where I knew change had to happen. And the reason was because I had zero energy and I was experiencing major digestion discomfort. And I didn't associate that with food, which sounds strange to me now, but I didn't know, and I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know why I had such low energy. I didn't know why I was having such pain in my stomach. But then I just knew change had to happen. I was exercising at that point. I was getting into running, and my performance was not improving. I had hit a plateau in my performance. I wanted to be faster. I want to be stronger with running, and it just wasn't happening. So I'm not exactly sure when the light bulb moment came on. I started looking at nutrition, making small baby steps forward, and to my surprise, things started to improve. So it wasn't until I started addressing nutrition that I started improving my energy or gaining more energy. It wasn't until I started addressing my nutrition that my digestion discomfort improved and my performance was improving as well when I was running.
Yeah, so that's an important point because many times we don't correlate nutrition. We don't think that one thing leads to another. We feel like, oh, it's just the way it is. And we don't realize that it's all a big picture. Like the stress at work, for example, tears us down and makes it more challenging for us to be healthy and strong. So there's many different factors. And for you, Dorothy, I know that sometimes you bring it up jokingly that you've had digestion issues. Sometimes it was hard to have bowel movements.
It was.
And then when you did have bowel movements, it was kind of a little bit of an explosion.
Oh dear. Didn't know we were getting so personal today. But it's very true. I didn't even know what a proper bowel movement was or how frequent it should be. And it was not comfortable at all. It was to the point where when I was going out maybe to friends' places for dinner, or if I was going out to a restaurant to a meal, I would specifically not eat because I wasn't sure how my stomach would react, or I would position myself very close to the bathroom.
Well, you know what the thing is, so many people deal with digestion issues more than we know, of course, because it's not a subject that most people are willing to talk about. But so many people deal with constipation, that's a big one, and then improper bowel movements in different areas like inconsistency, for example. I suppose that's similar to or the same as constipation, but I mean, to have regular bowel movements, you should have bowel movements every single day. And when we start to work with people, when they start to try our meal plans and understand that there's fiber and antioxidants and you need a well balance of all the nutrients, then your gut and intestines start to work properly. Everything starts to flow the way it should. So you have bowel movements on a regular basis. And sometimes people are like, oh my gosh, I'm going to the bathroom all the time. And we're like, you should. And we do mean that in a good way. Like you shouldn't have diarrhea, of course, but you should have regular bowel movements every day so you make sure everything's properly functioning inside.
True Form Life.
Before we get into the show, I just want to mention Complete Truth Protein. This is a plant-based protein supplement that we've designed ourselves at True Form. And the reason I designed it is because I felt like there was a need in the industry. Now, when I was traveling around the world, and I literally had a tackle box full of supplements and products and vitamins that did a whole lot more damage than good. So when I started doing more personal training and fitness classes, people would ask me what types of supplements I would recommend. And I always say, eat food. So that's why I've designed Complete Truth Protein around food. It's made with quinoa and hemp seeds. And one of the main benefits that it offers is improved digestion. So many of us deal with digestion issues on a regular basis. It also gives you a natural boost of energy. So if you head over to trueformlife.com/complete-truth-protein, we have tons of more details, videos, recipes, and everything you need to get going in the right direction with a good quality protein supplement. trueformlife.com/complete-truth-protein.
True Form Life.
And it feels good. It sounds so strange to say that, but it feels healthy. It feels good and natural to have proper bowel movements.
Well, you know, we'll move on in a second here, folks. We won't talk about bowel movements for the whole show. But I did want to mention that when we did that 3-day cleanse, we did the 3-day fast. That if any of our listeners haven't checked that out, that's a past show. So you can check out 3-day keto cleanse, I think. And then we did a 7-day cleanse on top of that. But throughout that time frame, I didn't have proper bowel movements. I was constipated. And I'm a person that never really had to deal with that in my life. So that was the first time I really found out what it was like to be constipated. And it all makes sense because I wasn't putting the proper nutrients in my body. I wasn't putting anything in my body. I didn't have any fiber. I didn't have any help with digestion. And it was so uncomfortable not to be able to poop.
Oh my gosh.
So, Dorothy, tell us more about your story and after you decide to make some changes in your life and move from not such a healthy lifestyle to a more healthier, cleaner type of detoxified lifestyle, if you will.
I think it'd be interesting to share what a day looked like for me meal-wise, and then I can share where I went from there. So first of all, I didn't even know there was a problem with the way I ate. I actually thought I ate quite healthy, to be honest, when I first started my journey in detoxifying. But I would have a coffee every single morning because I had no energy and I thought coffee would give me energy. So I would have a coffee every single morning and also grab a pastry like a bagel, for example, and I would eat it on the run. Sometimes I didn't even have anything to eat in the morning. I'd just grab the coffee and go. And then I wouldn't eat again until lunchtime. So all of that time from 6, 7 in the morning until noon, there was nothing fueling my body or giving me energy. But then at noontime, because I was a busy first year teacher at the time, I would have something super quick like crackers and cheese or hummus and veggies and then go on with my day. And I wouldn't think about food again or eating again until about 7 o'clock at night when I was so exhausted and so depleted that a bowl of popcorn was usually something I would gravitate towards. So, but I didn't know there was any problem with that until I started looking at eating a bit more. And I was really nervous about this because for the longest time I equated eating more food as going to gain weight, which just simply wasn't the case at all. So the first thing I looked at was getting my nutrition in from the start, from the morning. I wasn't a good breakfast eater, so I started looking at breakfast to begin with. I didn't want to start with something too heavy on my stomach because I wasn't sure. I didn't eat breakfast for a long time and I didn't want to go ahead and have this huge meal for breakfast. So I started with smoothies and I started incorporating smoothies into my diet every single day.
Yeah, that's the easiest way for us. We recommend smoothies all the time because it's the easiest way to get nutrients in your body and it's usually easy to digest. Now we do have people, because of Complete Truth Protein and how we use that, recommend it on a regular basis, some people say, oh, it gives me digestive issues. I can't have your protein supplement, it gives me gas or I get bloated. And then of course we say, how quickly are you drinking it? And then they say, oh, about 5 or 6 minutes. Maybe.
Or less.
Yeah. We have to understand like there's so many nutrients in that jar, jug, or glass of smoothie. We have to drink it and eat it we have to drink it like we would eat a full meal because that's exactly what it is. It takes time for our body to digest, utilize, absorb. If we are drinking that in 3 minutes, of course we're going to be bloated because you just put a whole meal's worth of food in your body in a few minutes, and that's not something that we should be working towards. And then I suppose that's a really good point to touch on here, is because many times people have issues with food in general. So they're not having dinner, or they have dinner, or they have lunch, and it takes them 10 minutes to have this huge giant plate of food, and then afterwards they have indigestion, or they have bloating, or gas, or constipation, and it's because your body can't process that food that quickly. You basically just swallowed all that food. So you can go back to a past show called Mindful Eating. That would definitely help. So if you go to exploringmindandbody.com and in the search bar you can type in Mindful Eating, that will give you some tips on how to slow down and how to enjoy your food, how to appreciate your food. But this is something we should be working towards because then we'll give our body a chance to digest. It should take 30 minutes, 40 minutes to eat a meal instead of swallowing it as quickly as possible and running out the door.
Which so many of us do because time is such a key factor in our lives right now. And I think it's difficult for some people to spend that time just eating.
Yeah, exactly. But then we're going to run into those, if we don't make that time, then we're going to run into these digestion issues that so many people deal with.
So it's important to take the time to do it.
So you went from breakfast and then you moved on to other areas, I suppose. Maybe you had I'm not sure what you did. Maybe you had snacks, maybe you had a proper lunch.
Yeah, I'm going to kind of steal one of your sayings here, Drew, which you might not be happy about. But I look towards adding food instead of taking food away. I wasn't eating a lot to begin with. I actually thought I was eating properly, but I wasn't eating a lot to begin with. But what I was eating, I was looking for better sources.
True Form Life.
Just want to take a minute to mention Complete Truth Protein again. This is a protein supplement that we designed at True Form. We believe in food. We believe food heals, cures, and prevents. That's why this product is much different than your conventional types of products. Unfortunately, packed with chemicals, preservatives, toxins that our body doesn't know how to utilize, digest, and absorb. So that's why Complete Truth Protein can help improve your digestion and will offer a natural boost of energy. You can find more details at trueformlife.com/complete truth protein.
Trueform Life.
For example, I was eating orange cheese. So I learned about the dyes and the coloring in orange cheese, and then moved towards a white cheese as opposed to orange cheese. I was eating crackers that had 500 ingredients in them. So then I started reading labels and tried to find crackers that had the least amount of ingredients. So I looked at what I was already eating and tried to make a better choice with that and keep adding to what I was already having instead of taking everything away.
Yeah, that's a great point, because especially when it comes to detoxing, we have a mindset of lack. Like, I have to cut everything out, or I'm not allowed to have anything that I want to have, or detoxes are boring because all the food is boring. Whatever it may be, we have that mindset of lack or not enough. And it comes from society. Like, we don't have enough money, don't have enough friends, don't have enough anything, don't have enough customers if you run a business. There's a continual mindset of lack. And it's the same thing when it comes to detoxing. We feel like we can't have this, we can't have that. So instead of having that mind of deprivation, we could flip that around and look at abundance. Like, we do have enough friends. There's more than enough money, more than enough customers. We can run a successful business. Whatever it is that you're thinking about, there's more than enough. And if we change that mindset to food and abundance, and we're looking at bright, colorful foods, especially for a whole food type of detox, these are a lot of different things we can have.
Yeah, and it truly is about making baby steps forward. It took me about a year to be from where I was to where I wanted to be. And we tend to think of detoxes as quick fixes. And it's simply, a whole food detox is more about creating lifestyle changes. So it's about making small progressive changes to increase or to do throughout your whole life. So when we talked about the smoothie, that's something I incorporated every single day, and now it's just a habit, like brushing my teeth, for example.
Yeah, it becomes a habit that you don't think about. So when we talk about sustainable, lasting changes to improve your life, we're talking about changes that you do every day. So when we talk about, we just did a 12-day challenge, for example, and we start off with making the bed, because it makes you feel accomplished. It makes you feel like you've done something. That gives you some momentum to maybe make breakfast, or maybe have a glass of kombucha, for example. Whatever it is to get your digestive system in order before you have breakfast in the morning. But these are small steps. We hope that people will work towards making their bed every single day for the rest of their life. And I know that doesn't sound all that appealing, but that's what we want to work towards, so you can keep these changes and you can keep your health, because many times you go through a fad or a cleanse or a quick detox, which we're not fans of and don't recommend, and then we go back to our regular lifestyle. So then we have to continue to do these detoxes all the time, which ultimately don't really change anything in your life.
And you're going to start to fall in love with the way that you feel. You're going to feel better, you're going to have more energy, and then you're just gonna want more. And that's what happened to me. After incorporating smoothies, for example, I just felt so good that I kept doing the smoothies, but I wanted to do more. I wanted to not lose that feeling. So then I started to look at ingredients in my foods and start making better decisions with the foods I was already having. And then I started incorporating new foods that I knew were going to improve my health.
Yeah, continue to make you feel better, and that's what it's all about. Okay, so when we talk about different types of whole foods, what are we looking at? I know that we want to talk about some of the things to avoid. You think that'd be a good place to start?
That's probably a great place to start. And one, I think you'll probably guess the number one ingredient to avoid, which is sugar. And sugar is in everything, like all the packaged foods. And we're talking about white refined sugar here, not naturally occurring sugars that you find in fruit, for example, but we're talking about white refined sugar. And it is so hard to find food or packaged food that does not have sugar in it.
That's right. So that's why we have to pay attention to every ingredient we're putting in our body. It would really help if we stayed away from processed food, packaged food. There's so many toxins, toxic ingredients in these types of packaged food. We like to stick to the produce type of area, stick to areas where we know that the food is the ingredient, that food doesn't actually have ingredients. So if you look at a cucumber, for example, it is the ingredient. If you look at an apple, for example, it is the ingredient. It doesn't have other ingredients inside of it. So when Dorothy was talking about, I lost it. Not sure what you were talking about when we mentioned that staying away from, sugars. I was just going to say, we do believe in having fruit sugars, like from not from concentrate or not like box juices, for example, but naturally occurring sugars from like fruits, like an apple and orange, for example.
Yeah.
So when we look at other types of things that we want to avoid, we can look at gluten is one of them. And when we talk about gluten, we're not people that are like, don't ever have gluten. That's not really our bag. We say that you can have gluten, but you just have to pay attention to the types of processed from the bakery, foods from the bakery. So usually breads are low quality. They have tons of different ingredients, and those ingredients aren't great for our bodies, and those have gluten in them. So if you look at other areas like bagels, for example, you can find better quality bagels, but unfortunately there's tons of ingredients. Those other ingredients aren't clean for you. They're not good for your body. They have many toxins that we want to stay away from, especially while detoxing, and those are going to be detrimental to our health. Unfortunately, those have gluten in them as well.
And it's not that we're saying never have a bagel for the rest of your life. It is maybe you don't want to have a bagel every day.
That's right. So if we look at, I want to bring up a stir fry here real quick. Let's say we have a bed of quinoa or rice. You cook that on the side and you throw that you're gonna cook that on the side, sorry. Then we look at, all we're gonna do is chop up a bunch of vegetables. So peppers, like assortment of peppers, onions, garlic and ginger are two of my favorite things to flavor with. You can throw celery, carrots,
broccoli.
Broccoli's a good one.
Cauliflower.
Maybe cauliflower. So what we're mentioning here is that, so check this out. What we're saying is that everything we're reading is the ingredient. So none of like a broccoli doesn't have ingredients. Cauliflower doesn't have more ingredients inside it. There's nothing packaged. There's nothing toxic. It's the whole food that's naturally occurring that we're putting in the stir fry.
True Form Life.
I just want to mention Complete Truth Protein here once again before I let you go. This is a protein supplement we designed ourselves, made with quinoa and hemp seeds, also maca and stevia. We have two different types of products. They both have tons of health benefits. You can bake the original bag you can bake with. It's perfect for gluten-free flour. If you're celiac or gluten intolerant, we have tons of recipes on trueformlife.com, which include raw protein balls. People absolutely love these ones. We have pancakes, cookies, muffins, all healthy, all clean ingredients. Dorothy puts these together for us on a weekly basis. So if you head over to trueformlife.com, head over to the recipe section. We have all kinds of recipes on how you can use Complete Truth Protein. It's also a vegan and raw product. So if you have any intolerances or if you have any issues with digestion, this will definitely help you out. Once again, that's trueformlife.com/Complete Truth Protein.
True Form Life.
And I think when you said about the quinoa and the rice, for example, Drew, it brings us to a good point too. With the rice, we want to stick to a nice brown or wild rice that actually has some color that's not white. And white things we want to stay away from. So white sugar, white rice, white potatoes, those type of white breads. Those are the kinds of things that we want to detox out of our bodies because they don't process the same way as the colorful foods like the brown rice, for example, is actually going to help fuel our body.
That's right. So you could look at simple carbs Dorothy was talking about. The simple carbs are the white ones. And then we have complex carbs. They're usually the dark ones. So you have brown rice, wild rice, whole grain rice. Then we have sweet potatoes. Quinoa's a good one. Any others that you can think of? There's a handful of different darker ones. These are complex carbs and they take longer to process, which means our body can burn that off as energy for a longer period of time. I just want to touch on a pantry here and the pantry, and I want to touch on the bathroom because a lot of times these are the most toxic places. Dorothy, can you tell us the most toxic place in your household?
The bathroom.
Absolutely. So when I go back to talking about lack or less than, that type of lifestyle, many times people feel like they need to get rid of everything in the bathroom because there's so many toxics in there. But what would you recommend, Dorothy?
Same thing that we were recommending when you look at your pantry. You look at adding new products or new foods to your pantry. You're looking in your bathroom to add a new product. We understand that what we use in the bathroom, our shampoos, our lotions, our toothpaste, like those all are like they all cost money. We don't want to just come in with a big garbage pail and throw them all out. But if we look at when it's time to purchase something new, for example, your toothpaste tube is low. Well, when you are ready to purchase a new one, you look for better ingredients to keep adding as your other ones are dwindling.
That's right. So when you're running out of products, you refill it with better, cleaner products. So start to read the ingredients, pay attention to what we're putting on our body, because ultimately that will become what's in our body. Better types of products that have cleaner ingredients, and then we don't have that lack. We don't have missing. We don't have nothing in our under our sink or in our shower. We feel like there is an abundance. So this is a mindset that we're talking about as well, which is something I want to talk to Dorothy before we end things here about affirmations and a mindset.
And affirmations are so important. You know, if we don't have a positive mindset, if we're continually putting negative things into our mind, that's increasing our body's toxicity level. Ooh, I got that word. So we could be eating very clean food. We could be putting the cleanest products on our body. But if our mind is toxic, then that is going to be toxic for our whole body.
And what do you mean by saying a toxic mind?
Toxic mind is a negative mind, and a mind that's always, like as we were talking about before, that having that lack of mindset. And you know what is interesting too to me is that we say the worst things or think the worst things about ourselves that we wouldn't even imagine saying about somebody else.
That's right. So when you look at them in the mirror and you're like, I'm fat, I'm ugly, look at my wrinkles, like these things continually drag us down. One of my favorite quotes that I always say is from Dan Millman, my favorite author. If you face just one opponent and doubt yourself, you're outnumbered.
Ooh, so powerful. Happy you got it that time, Drew.
But it's true. If you're always doubting yourself, if you're always putting yourself down, then there's always doubt. You never give yourself an advantage. You never believe in yourself. And these are toxic to our body in different ways. They're toxic to our lifestyle, and they drag us down in different areas. So we need to flip those around and start saying more positive things about ourselves.
And that's where the affirmations come in. You can write affirmations on little Post-it notes or little pieces of paper or your bathroom mirror and put them around your house, because what you continually see is what you will tell yourself, and what you continually tell yourself is what you're going to believe. So
to wrap things up here, Dorothy, we want to let our listeners know that it's important to take it one step at a time. So instead of thinking about getting rid of everything all at once, add one thing. Instead of thinking about, I need to start working out every single day of the week, try to work out for a couple days out of the week instead of doing everything all at once. So we're looking at slow, sustainable changes to make these lasting changes. That's
really the only way to make it last. We all know what happens when we have that all or nothing mentality. Or we've all, I think most people, when they are ready for a lifestyle detox, most people have tried those fixes and those, the shakes, the pills and all of that, and they're ready to commit to something life changing. But there is no other way than to start with those slow changes. And, we had a client once tell us, I've never lost weight this slowly before, but I've never kept it off for this long before. which is so true. And it takes patience as well and time to commit and make these slow changes.
Absolutely. Dorothy, thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me on. I look forward to coming back.
True Form Life.
All right, that's going to wrap things up for this edition of Exploring Mind and Body. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for tuning in and sticking around till the end. We hope that Dorothy gave you some tips and suggestions, some ideas on how to whole food detox properly. We know there is a lot to it, but again, we just want you to take small, sustainable changes. Understand that you can make changes in your life. You can live a detox lifestyle. And we certainly recommend staying away from those quick fasts, those weekend cleanses, those cleanses in a box that usually do more damage than good. So take small changes, look at what you're putting in your body and on your body and your environment as well to detox your lifestyle. More details are going up on exploringmindandbody.com. This is where you can find all the past shows. So if you ever miss a show, you can always go back and check out shows there. We also have a free app you can download on any Apple device. Head over to your app store, download Exploring Mind and Body, and take us with you wherever you go. More details about who we are and what we do are at trueformlife.com. This is where we do our meal planning, recipes, grocery shopping list, at-home workouts, and more. If we can get you going in the right direction, we'd love to help. Once again, thank you so much for being here. That's it. That's all I got. I'm out of here. As always, I'm your host, Drew Tadia, in health and fitness for a better world. Thanks for listening.
You've been listening to Exploring Mind and Body with Trueform Life's Drew Tadia, fitness expert. To find out more about the show, Drew Tadia, or to listen to past shows, visit exploringmindandbody.com.